And welcome to the Redeye stream number 285. Today we're talking about some old news, but we've yet to touch upon it. The Disney and Fox merger. We will be discussing that, but first we're going to start with Bitcoin as the topic and the dollar being the national reserve currency or the world reserve currency, really. Is that a good thing? Does that help our position in the world? Does Bitcoin hurt our position in the world? Doku, you want to explain a little bit about Bitcoin and this story to us?
Okay, so the reason I wanted to bring this up, I believe it was Nadler. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But essentially, the argument that was brought before Congress
right, so
is
those
that
Bitcoins, they're pretty fucking crazy, huh, kids? So,
term Bitcoin. Did you pull up the
dead air. Ooh, my.
Did you pull up
the random talking? This isn't going well. Somebody's
wait, yeah, no, there wasn't any dead air, man. Fucking Doku was talking.
Oh, we can't hear us?
Oh, I can hear Doku.
You might need you might need the F5 real quick. Doku was talking, so it might be your connection. Google's been doing that when people jump in.
Oh, my connection?
Yeah.
I don't know. Voice joined, and now you can't hear Doku, it sounds like. Doku, talk again. See if he can hear you. Oh, well, he's going to try coming back. Yeah.
Technical difficulties. We're off to a good start, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, this is the Redeye stream. We're a bunch of random technical difficulties. We're rolled up into one.
Oh, hold on. I can hear Doku again. I'm sorry if I'm sorry about that.
It's all good, dude. It happens.
Okay, go ahead,
Google. So no, I can't remember verbatim exactly what was said. Don't quote me on if it was Nadler or not. I'm pretty sure it was. But essentially what was pitched before Congress is that holding of Bitcoin or trading in Bitcoin should be made illegal because it undermines the US dollar as the reserve currency, which is essentially the way that the United States projects power and maintains control over its foreign interests abroad. And so Bitcoin is in direct opposition to that and could kind of become a problem. So he wants to make it completely illegal to even hold Bitcoin. Hey.
Wow.
Thoughts?
I mean, okay, here's the thing, right? If you're going to set forth the premise that Bitcoin undermines the US dollar, then doesn't printing in mass US dollars undermine the US dollar, which the Federal Reserve already does? I mean,
not necessarily, because the US dollar can still be controlled in a way through interest rates and M1 and M2, but it's still a centralized currency, fiat or not. Bitcoin, it's a decentralized currency and it's digital at that. So it's much more difficult to manipulate. And that's really why they're afraid of it, because it would be very easy. Let me just go off on a small side note tangent. Remember what happened when Iran decided back, I believe it was in the 70s, when they wanted to start trading oil on the international market using the euro instead of the US dollar?
Yeah, we freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, that sent the Forex markets into a complete fucking panic mode. Well, Bitcoin is kind of doing the same thing, except it's not tied to any sovereign nation or central bank. It's crypto. It's completely decentralized, which means no currency, not the yen, not the won, not the ruble.
This is going to derail everything. All right. Fuck. Okay. Jonathan Bennett 3 hours ago. Either this was posted in one of my videos or on Cabbage's channel. I'm trying to figure that out, but here is what the person said. I'm sorry to have to do this here, but I think it's the best way to tell all his friends. Cabbage died this morning. He had been battling lung cancer for some time. Cabbage was an awesome guy. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind and stand up for the things in which he believed. Unfortunately, he didn't know he had cancer until it was too late. I was a close friend of the man behind the avatar, and I can tell you he was in person every bit the guy he was online. He changed my life, and now he has left a huge cabbage-sized hole in my life. I thought it would be best to post this here where his fans and friends could see. Rest in peace, Cabbage. You'll be missed by many. Now I'm going to take a second.
Fucking hell, wish he told me. That's all fucking sudden.
Damn it. Okay. Yeah, this derailed everything. I'm sorry, but I just got the message from Jensen. Yeah, I'm going to take a moment and a drink for my friend, and we'll try and get the show back together, guys. Sorry. I literally just found this out.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a drink myself.
Oh, you're here to Cabbage. He was a fucking absolute prick, but I love him so much, and I don't know. That makes me really sad, actually.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't want us to mourn. He'd want us to drink and be assholes to make up for the lack of assholishness that will not be on stream anymore.
Okay. We will do a memorial show for Cabbage sometime in the next week. I'm going to take some time to get over that, but let's try and get this show back on the rails.
Yeah, the show must go on, so they say. Even if with a little bit more of a somber tone, I suppose. All right, so back on topic. So yeah, no, the centralized financial powers do not like the idea of Bitcoin or Ethereum being a more widely accepted means of financial transactions. So of course they're going at it. I believe it's already banned in India. I think it's also banned in Pakistan. I believe there's a few other countries that don't allow transactions to take place using crypto in general, not just Bitcoin. And again, it's an undermining to the to sovereign currencies that are controlled by centralized banks and sovereign nations. You can't control it through interest rates. You can't control it through printing. It doesn't adhere to the standard ideals of velocity and money. If you had to compare it to anything, it's more akin to the gold and silver notes of days gone past. So it's not fiat. And in case anybody doesn't know about Bitcoin, I'll just explain a little bit why you can't just simply produce Bitcoin out of thin air. It uses blockchains. So what that means is there's what they call hashes. It's lines of code that are encrypted, and each Bitcoin has its own unique serial number. So there's only ever a certain amount. And you can mine Bitcoin, which means you decrypt the hash lines, which are the code lines, which takes a lot of processing power. But even then, they change the blockchain code up every single year, to determine how much Bitcoin can actually be on the market. So you could think of that kind of like an interest rate, but it's still far more regulated.
So yeah, and thank you for getting the show back on the rails. All right, my head's back in it a little bit. All right, so who actually created Bitcoin, and was it one person, like they say, or what? Do you believe it was multiple people, a group maybe that actually created this?
That I'm not privy to, and ain't Jack. You can't make Bitcoin out of thin air. You can't. But what you can do is through Bitcoin mining, you can decrypt using, I believe the most efficient way of doing it now is what do they call it? It's application specific integrated circuits, which is specifically to dumb it down as much as possible. It's essentially a USB that is for the explicit purpose of decrypting these hash lines and blockchains, but it takes a long time, and it can increase or decrease the difficulty of doing it. But that's the only way to introduce new Bitcoin to the market. It's a lot easier than just say printing money and manipulating interest rates, but it can be done by anybody. It's completely decentralized, which is why central banks like the Fed are terrified of something like crypto ever gaining any real traction.
Well, and the whole thing that gives its value is the fact that there is a set limit. Once you hit that limit, then the price isn't going to really fluctuate anymore. It's going to kind of lock into place, right?
Yes and no. Again, using Bitcoin mining methods, you can introduce new Bitcoin to the market, but you can't do it to the tune of, say, printing $1 trillion to bail out banks. And Ain't Jack does have a point. There's nothing of tangible asset backing up Bitcoin, but then again, there's nothing of tangible asset backing up the US dollar ever since it went off the gold standard back in 1972. So, but the other distinct issue is that Bitcoin is treated more like a commodity than it really is a currency, which is how it's been traded since it got popular. It's a weird pseudo currency / commodity. I don't fuck with Bitcoin, but it's from an economic standpoint, it's something interesting to look into. But I can understand why central banks would be intimidated by the potential future of it, because you could destabilize the Forex market by, for example, I could mine Bitcoin for long enough time, I could turn around and buy gold and silver or use it to trade on Amazon. It is in direct opposition to traditional currencies.
Yeah, no, and somebody else. I know everybody's in shock right now, but let's try and keep the show going here, guys.
Well, I've always seen Bitcoin as a bit of a Ponzi scheme. I mean, there was at one point there where it was kind of overrunning the amount of cash that we actually physically have on the planet. And this was a couple of years back. And I even actually predicted this. A friend of mine who owns a business wanted to make some fast money. And I said, now, I'd do this if I had a few, I'd say $20,000 to fucking just to throw away. Because if I'm wrong, well, then it's gone. If I'm right, well, then, yep, I reckon Bitcoin's got about a month left. And no shit, it fucking, in that 1 month, it spiked. And right at the end of the month, it started to plummet like bloody crazy. And I'm spewing I didn't have the money because I would have, quadrupled the money in like the space of a month. And if I'd taken it out right then and there when I was going to, I would have walked away with all of that. But yeah, my idiot brothers got into this years ago. And when the ass fell out of Bitcoin, I was thinking, geez, wouldn't it be fucking funny to see the idiot look on the bloody idiot brother's face now? Apparently, it's on an upturn now.
And that's the thing. And first off, I want to address Ain't Jack in the chat. Land is a very good investment, along with anything that's tangible. Because let's look at Bitcoin, the US dollar, or any other fiat currency out there. What actually backs it up? I would argue that it would be very easy to overprint money. And let's look.
No, I got to cut you off here because here's the difference. When it comes to Bitcoin, you don't know what's backing it up. Nothing is really. Some nameless dude on the internet is backing it up. That is a dangerous investment. But when you're looking at the United States dollar, the United States federal government is backing it. So if the government exists, you will get your notes exchanged. You will get your value from your United States dollar.
Yeah, but what are they worth?
That does change as the economic climate and the interest rate through the Federal Reserve and fractional banking changes, which I am against the Federal Reserve. You guys know that, audit and then end the Fed. But right now we're stuck with this imperfect system that Hamilton really, really was behind. He's the one that created the first national bank of the United States, which was pretty much the same thing as the Federal Reserve is now.
Well, and so here's the difference. I'm going to get a little bit econ nerd. So let's look at the US dollar. What does it represent? Obviously, you can have a physical piece of paper. It doesn't really matter for much. But what the dollar, as far as the fiat system represents, is debt, specifically US federal debt. So you could think of it as essentially almost a form of credit. So yes, the dollar has value because it's recognized as legal tender for all debts, public and private, but that's all the dollar represents, and it doesn't really amount to much as far as representing a tangible asset. It's not a gold note, it's not a silver note, it's simply just legal tender. If you can print it, it doesn't really hold value beyond what the value people put on it. Same thing goes for Bitcoin. The only difference between the two is one is quote, quote, legal tender backed up by the good faith of the US government to repay its debts, and Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency.
Okay.
The two aren't
See-
very far off base.
No. Did you see what was posted about cabbage?
Yeah.
We already announced it, okay? Just we got to get this portion of the show, and then I will address that more. I would rather do a full-on memorial episode, but I see the chat. I'm reading the chat. I get it. Let me process it first, please. He was my friend for over 3 years. I'm kind of dealing
I
with it right
understand. Okay.
now. Okay, I'm not being rude. I'm just saying I need to process it and try and stay on base here for a few. Go ahead, Doku.
Okay, so here's my point behind Bitcoin versus the US dollar. One is backed up by the good faith of the US government to repay its debts, which in the word of Alan Greenspan, we can guarantee that the United States government will always be able to repay its debts, but we cannot guarantee the purchasing power of the US dollar. Big issue there as far as fiat currencies are concerned, because it's not a gold note. It's not a silver note. It's not backed up by a tangible asset. Fort Knox is probably fucking empty. Who knows? But
Actually,
the only difference between
of that, and speaking of Cabby, that's one of the things Cabby was really solid about. Was he swore by the fact that there is no gold left in Fort Knox, which is why we can't return the German gold to Germany, because we don't have it.
Well, just as a fun aside, when you go through and look at a lot of these studies that claim how much gold the United States actually owns, a good portion of that is actually an estimate of gold that's in the ground in government-owned land that has not yet to be mined. So it's not like it's been mined, it hasn't been refined, it's not sitting in a fucking bank somewhere, it's in the ground still. But they use that in their estimates, which is interesting to say the least. Do a little bit of research on your own. I'm not going to go into the details because I'd have to dig up decades worth of articles. But it's kind of funny to see that.
So when with this competition between Bitcoin and the Federal Reserve, the United States government can ban the use of Bitcoin within its borders, just through Congress, because Congress is the only one with the right to issue currency within the United States. And companies like Amazon are now accepting Bitcoin as currency. Well, you can't buy something from Amazon.us with British pounds necessarily. You have to convert them first. The same thing would be with Bitcoin, right?
Well, not necessarily, because the way Bitcoin is treated as far as the markets are concerned, it's not treated as legal tender because it's not really a currency, even though that's what it's labeled as. It's treated more like a commodity. It's treated the same way that gold or silver would be treated. So it's not legal tender. It's not backed up by the good faith of any sovereign power. It's not issued by a central bank. It's more of a medium of exchange. So currency, not so much, but method of exchange, most definitely. And think about it this way. I can trade all sorts of things with US dollars or the euro or the British pound or whatever. Those are currencies issued by a sovereign government. Bitcoin is more like a digital medium of bartering, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So it's not tied to the Forex market per se. It's weird to describe it. It has attributes of both, but it's neither. Hence why I don't like it, because I don't like an uncertainty when it comes to investments.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to say about Bitcoin before I throw the Hangout link into the chat and we will go ahead and talk about the elephant that is now in the room?
Let's go.
Well, I'll just say the final thing, the final point I wanted to make and this isn't directly in regards to Bitcoin, but this is in regards to, say, digital currency. And this is where Bitcoin actually derives its viability as a medium of trade. So you have a bank account, right?
Yeah, no, and real quick, Farty, I muted you because it sounds like you're sharpening a knife or something, but I can't even hear Doku over that loud ass sound. So unmute yourself when you're done. Go ahead, Doku.
So yeah, you have a bank account, right? You have, I know plenty of people probably have brokerage accounts, stocks, bonds, whatever. I'll just use myself as an example. I have a brokerage account. I trade in oil, specifically using ETFs. All of that money that I use to trade, say it's, for simplicity's sake, it's $1,000. In a month, I make 10%, I sell. I do this month over month. I make $100 every couple of months. Do you think that there's a physical $100 bill floating around somewhere that represents the amount of value that I'm creating by day trading oil?
The number would be within the actual accounts of the banks. So yeah, there is an actual note somewhere.
Okay, let me ask you this question. The price of oil obviously fluctuates. Just because I'm trading oil back and forth, I go long, I go short, I go long, I go short. Let's say within a year that $1,000 is now $2,000. Do you think the Federal Reserve has printed an extra $2,000 to account for the wealth that I have generated out of thin air? Do you think there's more barrels of oil floating around? No, there isn't.
But if you cash out, somebody has to hand you a note.
If I decide that I want to go to the bank and withdraw it. If everybody decided to cash out 10% of what they have and get actual physical banknotes, how many banknotes do you think the bank actually has on hand as far as physical, actual Federal Reserve notes?
So what you're talking about is a run on the bank, which has happened before in the past, where the bank literally has no money to hand out, but the accounts say they have money.
Because it physically does not exist. It only exists as a digital number on a screen somewhere that was created by people like me, day trading shit like oil, gold, silver, I don't care if it's freaking poppy seeds, back and forth on the digital markets. The tangible asset has not changed. The money has not been printed. It exists as a number on a computer screen. What does it represent?
The national wealth of the country you reside in, for one. It also represents your own personal wealth, and it also represents the economy.
Well, see, in England, it's the promise of the Queen. On their note, it actually says, "I hereby promise that every £5 fucking signed ER." Basically.
Well, again, I'm going to simplify this down as fucking as ABCD as I possibly can. I have a barrel of oil. I sell that barrel of oil for $60. I buy it back at 40. I sell it again for 50. I buy it back at 40. I sell it again for 50. The barrel of oil has not changed. Still one barrel of oil. I have managed to make, over the course of 5 transactions, double my money. That extra $10, where did it come from? Where is it?
So the other person that bought it with the higher mark on it. He's wealth, and you're gaining it.
Yeah, they're taking a loss. I could potentially, if I'm forcing to trade in cash, but when you start trading over digital markets on a grand scale, especially on a globalized market, where does that money come from? I guarantee you there is not enough physical banknotes, Federal Reserve notes, euros, whatever. There is not enough physical representation of the wealth that is being created out of nowhere by people day trading, options trades, derivative assets, what have you.
Oh yeah,
it's money from nothing.
That's already happened, and that's when the bubble popped a couple of years ago.
That's why we call them bubbles.
That's exactly right. That's where I was saying. I saw that bubble coming. I'm thinking, fucking, that's exactly what happened. There was actually more Bitcoin out there than what there was actually physical. If everybody decided they were going to cash in all at once, it'd cause something like the greatest, biggest fucking depression, because remember too, no one really knows who. Like the story that I've always been told was that from the beginning that no one really knows who started this, and he's some nameless fucking either Japanese or Chinese fella, and he might still be alive. He might have fucking cashed out or fucking doesn't have anything to do with it anymore. But this mysterious guy's never been named, and he's fucking getting every cunt to fucking cash in, and then whenever if everybody did decide to just cash in, there wouldn't actually be any physical fucking currency to back up their Bitcoin.
And see,
that could crash fucking currencies and all this kind of stuff when people are trying to get their own currency, and then over, say the Philippines, for example, when their currencies were fucking, 15 zillion billion fucking thing for a fucking a beer or something like that, when that tries to translate into American dollars or some other currency, it could crash. It help crash the euro, for example, especially if everybody in Italy's trying to cash in their fucking Bitcoin for fucking their useless bloody end of the euro. Oh yeah, we'll pay all our debts in fucking Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, Germany takes on that debt.
Anchat brings up a good point. Why can't I double my money by passing it back and forth from my left hand to my right hand? That's exactly the point. It'd be like, all right, I'm going to split this dollar into 4 quarters. I'll hold 2 quarters in one hand, 2 quarters in the other. Then there's 3 in one hand, 1 in the other, 4 in one hand, 0 in the other, back and forth. Doesn't change the fact there's still $1 bill. You're creating value from nothing, but the underlying assets do not change. It's not like that. Just because I managed to buy silver at $12 and then sell it at 14 and then buy back again at 13, the underlying asset has not increased or decreased as far as the asset itself. The only thing that's changed is what's it worth, what's it valued at. And this is the problem with fiat currencies. The only thing it represents is debt. Or more specifically, the good faith that debt will be repaid. But again, that's all based on faith.
Yeah. Okay. 40, you still all right? You've been muted since you heard the news. Take that as my answer. Okay, so everybody wants us to talk about Cabby.
All right.
When was the first time you guys met him? Me, I met him a little over 3 years ago in Ogre's stream, and me and him got into an argument the very first time I met him. He called me a cunt. I knew I'd like him at that point.
Yeah, it'd be about 3 years ago now too. Shit, because I met him on Eldridge's stream, and it's funny. There was one night we got into talking about fucking 9/11, and he was doing his fucking conspiratard bit, and I gave him the shit so much that he fucking basically, noped the fuck out of the conversation. You just hung up on me.
Yeah, I know there was this one time where he just kept fucking muting me on my own show, right? And this was like the first, year or so I was doing YouTube, so I was still a little thin-skinned. And he muted me the 5th time, and I ejected his ass. So, like, fuck you, Cabby. You're fucking out of here. He hit me up, right after. And he's like, what the fuck was that for, mate? I'm like, you kept muting me. He's like, yeah, you were muting me too. We were having fun. I'm like, well, fucking good point.
In honor of Cabby, fuck off memes.
Shut the fuck up, memes. Yeah. And Cabby, I hope you learn the code up there, wherever you are. Hey, Jensen.
Sorry,
you were the bearer of bad news today, which I'm gonna start calling you Grim Reaper Jensen. No kidding.
Mate, I got told, I told you, then I told others. You had to know. Sorry it derailed your stream. I understand, Doku, you enjoy talking about your economics, but,
Don't
you know,
apologize.
this guy was one of us. So I just need you to know I wasn't doing it to be a dick, but people needed to know. Everyone has been asking about him. I was just the lucky git, lucky me, to find out. Hey, Shirati.
So Jensen, I know you can't talk much. You're still,
Hey, Jensen, don't apologize.
yeah, you're still recovering. But real quick before you do end up going, I don't know if you're going to or not, but I do know you're in recovery from, being sick and up in the hospital. But man, when was the first time you met Cabby, and what did you think of him?
2.5 years ago, one-on-one, the man was a diamond. On the show, the man was a dick.
No,
But he was- Okay, he was a cunt, but he was our cunt. And that's why I had to tell all of you, because, it's as simple as this. He was our cabbie. If I find out that this is a lie, then the person who's done it, I'm going to make what I did to you-know-who look positively friendly.
Well, no, and I'm wondering if he had lung cancer, how late he found out about it, and why would you keep something like that from your friends? I mean,
The rumor is he didn't find out until it was far, far too late.
Cask, where did you find that comment by chance? On YouTube?
Sort of, yeah. CSG told me, I checked it up, saw the comment, clipped it, sent it straight to Dodge.
Oh,
it
so
was on that.
on
It was on that.
CSG's channel.
Was it on CSG's or on Ogre's on the Best of Cabby compilation Ogre did?
It was on the Best of Cabby compilation. Guy who actually put it on there did it 3 hours ago. I literally found out, jumped on, told you guys. You lot were 30 seconds behind me in learning.
No.
So Bollocks, I see you joined us. How are you? I'm sure we're all not doing that well. But when was the first time you met Cabby? What do you think of him?
I thought Cabby was a cunt right from the beginning, and I got him straight away. He was almost like my long lost sort of twin brother, because we had exactly the same sense of humor, and we just both enjoyed annoying people and winding people up. He was probably a bit more forthright than I was, which is he would get into an argument with people just for the sake of getting into an argument. But I must admit, I did click with him straight away, and he he was also part of my falling out with my old streaming partner as well, when we had our little incident that night where we started muting each other, muting him. Both got kicked from his server, and then we started playing musical chairs in your Discord, which
Yeah,
which
no,
led,
that was fun.
yeah,
Guys, sorry, just guys, in the side chat is the link to the the actual comment itself. You can check it up. That's literally where I got the info. Carry on, guys. Sorry, I just wanted you to know.
Dude,
no.
how... I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can kind of believe that Cabby's dead because he hasn't been around for some time. But it's just like, how did this guy know of that video from 2 years ago? And
I
know.
think the guy was a close friend of Cabby, and obviously he put it in a. It was basically a video about Cabby, so makes sense.
He might have just searched for Cabby, and I don't put Cabby in any tags, so he wouldn't have seen something more recent from my channel. He would have seen that pop up from Ogre's channel.
Well, okay, it's got to be said. Someone's got to say it. May as well be me. It's not the first time I've come across someone who might want to troll people by reporting somebody's untimely passing. Like, there's this bloke called RK Owens 4 who was actually had this happen to him twice, where people have got on, tried to impersonate his account, and spread rumors about him, passing away, and various different reasons why, and all this kind of stuff. So I, sort of speculating here that, speculating, that he's a close friend. He could just be a troll.
I hope it's not someone trolling us, but Cabby did smoke, and I smoke cigarettes, but I don't smoke like a pack a day. Cabby smoked a lot. If you're gonna choose a way for Cabby to go out, lung cancer would make sense.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't sort of go sort of too hard on a YouTube comment. Sort of, wouldn't want a bit more confirmation first.
Well, you would think though.
If it is a
Cabby
trolling,
is okay. Yeah, if Cabby is okay and he sees this, we'll know about it. Like, even if he's busy, he's gonna let us know he's alive.
Oh, yes. As Cabby says, he's a happy-go-lucky scamp. He will let us know, and he will let us know in the most loud way he can think of.
But no, it's funny, Bollocks, you say that, Cabby was kind of like your twin. I kind of see that, dude. Totally.
Yeah, he was definitely like more my older brother, who was more didn't really give a shit. I mean, I don't give a shit, but not to his level. That boy really, really, really was not afraid to say what he thought. And I'm probably more forgiving of people who I know are just wind-up merchants, whereas Cabby would take them on face value that they're just thick and they don't deserve to have a voice and opinion. But I mean, the last time I spoke to him was just completely out of the blue. He just asked me, could I do him a favor and could I modify his avatar for him? He basically wanted the cabbage and the head separate. I have no idea what he was planning on doing because I don't think he ever did do anything with it. But if you were a mate of his and you did him favors and if you agreed to chat to him, which you would stipulate to him, I can't talk long, I've got things to do, and then 3 hours later he was still keeping you in the chat and still talking to you, or if you wanted to go to bed and it was then 4 o'clock in the morning and he still wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I've spent so many fucking hours yelling at him at like 11 at night. God damn it.
He definitely enjoyed the company of people, but at the same time I think he preferred us lot because he only had to talk to us. He didn't have to put up with our physical presence. I think that's what he didn't like. I think he loved human interaction. Yeah, he loved human interaction. He just didn't love human physical interaction, which is he could turn us all off at the click of a button if he really wanted to be by himself.
No, and like I remember, out of all of you guys that helped me out and are friends of mine, which you guys are, he would be the one that would fucking call me up on Discord if there was one little thing I'm doing out of line, right? Where you guys might roll your eyes, oh, Dodge, he's just being fucking stupid. Leave him alone, he'll be fine. Cabby was like, nope, I'm calling Dodge out on this shit. And he would do so immediately and for hours. Like, that's how I knew he actually liked me. I mean, why would you put that much effort into me if you didn't fucking like me?
But it wasn't until I met Cabby that I did sort of got a new appreciation for Winston Churchill's "We'll fight them on the beaches" speech, because Cabby has this little mannerism I used to call the "We shall never surrender," because like he'll rattle on for a good long while, and then he'll have a pause, and then you'll go to speak thinking he's finished speaking, and then he'll talk over the top of you, sort of a bit like that. He'll have that little rise in his speech mannerism.
He's got the whole
Yeah, no,
he's
no.
got the whole fucking Energizer Bunny attitude.
Well, no, and he would be like, I've been quiet for a whole 5 minutes. And you're like, no, dude, you're quiet for about 30 seconds, bro. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think I ever heard him quiet for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
yeah, B. No shit. Reading the chat, Melissa, if it's true, it happened this morning, UK time. So, and yeah, it is a sad day. I don't know. I really hope it's not true, and this is some stupid internet thing. But am I the only one that has the feeling that this is probably correct? I have that feeling.
Yeah, because
I believe it. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, he hasn't been around for a really long time, which isn't like him. And I'm so I don't know, like I'm really sad, but like I'm also really fucking pissed off because there's a video I delayed for like months because that stupid bitch was supposed to do voice recording for me. And he never did.
How dare you, Cabby? You better do some EVP work, homie.
Oh, do you fucking remember that, dude? I was like, Cabbage, you need to fucking do that recording for those quotes that I sent you. And it's like, oh yeah, man, get right on it. Never
Well,
fucking
yeah, he's basically pissing you off, even in death, and that's what he always did best in life.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I would actually 100% believe.
And that's why I think, if there is such a thing as afterlife and he's listening to us now, if he thought for a minute we were all being nice to him and saying about how much we miss him, he would be extremely angry. So if you're listening, Cab, go fuck yourself.
You're right, too. You're like, why you being so fucking mushy? You fucking turned fairy.
Yeah. Because the best way you can pay tribute to anybody is to be them for a short while. And you suddenly realize then that that's the reason you miss them. No matter how much they got on your tits and how obnoxious they could be, it was all part of their charm. And Cabby was able to be a rude, arrogant bastard and get away with being one of the most charming human beings you'd ever spoken to.
Yeah.
Like I said, the man was diamond.
Well,
Very rough diamond, but...
in the immortal words of Cabby when he was hanging out with the Scottish, fuck the Queen.
I'm just thinking of all those caber tossers whose hearts will be broken tonight.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. There's going to be a big burly Scotsman who's a little bit more lonely this New Year's Eve.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. He's going to have to find some other poor, pasty white Englishman to pick on.
You're not doing much, are you, MB?
I'm saying sat down soddily on this seat.
Oh, my chest hurts. Oh.
Stop breathing.
Yeah, stop. Tell him to stop breathing. Yeah, we need you to hold your breath for a really long time, Jensen, so you can get a message to Cabby and then come back and tell us what he said.
He sent a message. You're all cunts.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep. But no, like I remember some of the best streams he was on with me was like Waco. We're talking about Waco and Ruby Ridge with MC, and there's an 45-minute portion where it is Cabby and MC gloves off going fucking for it, and it was brilliant. I just sat back and listened.
I think he was a very good moderator as well for those few streams where you used him to moderate yourself. And I can't remember who you were debating now. It was the Norwegian chap who sometimes
Yeah.
comes on.
Yep, rat resistant.
Rat.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, and for somebody who could be so bloody rude and up himself, he was he was really pulling off the well-to-do sort of English gentleman who is just acting completely unbiased and the middleman. I honestly thought every second he was just going to pipe up and just give us his normal shtick, which is, this is my opinion. If you disagree with it, you're wrong. And no, he stayed impartial the whole time, and it was like, that's not Cabby. And then you two stopped arguing, then he went back to normal Cabby, and it was everything was back to as it should be.
Yeah, it's like he had a switch where he can go into moderator mode, and he was good at it. He did a couple different streams for me, and then I think he did one for somebody else as well.
I wanted him to be a moderator when I was going to go up against the freaking black supremacists. Quinn, do you remember that one?
Yeah, he was happy to help out.
Oh,
mate,
actually, sorry to cut, Jensen, I got to cut you off here because she brought up the black supremacist guy. That is one of the times where Cabby showed me he had my fucking back. There was the link in there, and I joined, and I'm going back and forth with this guy, and he's pretty much calling me a racist piece of shit when all he's spouting is racism. And so I'm going back and forth. I thought I was doing all right. Well, Cabby was listening, and he didn't think I was doing so well. So he clicked the fucking link without even asking, jumped on and went full Cabby. Like he had his buddies back. Like it was me and Cabby versus three of them. It was good. And it showed Cabby was always a loyal man, at least as far as I
totally agree, mate. That guy, if he decided he liked you, he had your back whether you wanted him there or not.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like figuratively, me and him were back to back with swords fighting these fuckers. You know what I mean? It was that type of situation.
Yeah. For me, it was when you disappeared. He came on every stream and helped me run those fucking things, keep them going. Without him, Voice, and do not think I'm taking anything away from you, Voice. You was there every goddamn time too, and I thank you yet again. Fucking deal with it. Without you guys, I could not have kept MADDS show going. So, you know,
you don't say a damn thing.
British invasion, screw you, America. We kept this shit going. And just so you all know, I've already messaged MC, so he knows.
Oh, good, because MC and Cabby were friends too, and Common Sense guys in there. Good old Reality Temple on Earth. You and Cabby destroyed him. Thank you. I thought we did too. I mean, there's so many good moments with Cabby. Alex, you were trying to say one. Go for it, dude.
No, I was just going to say you didn't really need to battle him, swords. He would have just chopped you to pieces with his tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He certainly had the gift of the gab in terms of whether or not he believed half of the shit that came out of his mouth was irrelevant. He was able to convince you that he did, and even I sometimes find myself thinking, "Fuck me, Cab." Even I wouldn't go that well. I would probably get up to the line. I would lean over it, not him. His foot would go straight over the line. I don't give a flying fuck. So,
Yeah, he was pole vaulting over it, man.
And then just for shits and giggles, he'd pole vault back, just fuck with your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and Voice. You and Cabby talked a lot, right? Even one-on-one in Discord and stuff, man. Any good memories of Cabby with you?
Just that he, when he wasn't on streams, you just got the, it's just anybody who's talked to Cabby, all streams on a one-on-one knows who he was. He was the salt of the earth. He, was passionate about what he believed in and would argue his point. You know, I mean, I don't know if he said to me this, you know, when we were talking or in stream or something like, but he got somehow this person that many would call a slightly aggressive conversationalist was able to blag his way into 2 Christmas dinners, you know, from his neighbors. You know, so I just think it's you had the cabbie who was on stream who was like himself but 110% of himself, and then just the regular cabbie, you know. So it was it's just fucking unreal, you know. And he's just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
here.
Thing is, though, Voice, we don't know whether those neighbors of him were being held at gunpoint as well. That's the
Believable.
thing. There was always, I think, a part of his story that he missed out. So, like the same with the Scotsman, I don't think the Scotsman initiated that. I think it was him gently undoing his flies probably started it.
Cabbage would have used a longbow, not a gun.
You know, one thing I think, you know, if there is an afterlife, he's going to be upset he didn't get to see Brexit followed through because he threw a party when that happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sherardi, you only knew him for like a year or so, right? If that.
Yeah, a little bit less than a year.
Did you think he was obnoxious when you first met him, like B? I read that in the chat. That B was.
He was a complete and total asshole, if I remember right. And yeah, you know, you can't trust my memory. We got into a fight on your first stream.
Yep.
Or on the first stream I was on. And I'm pretty sure I hated the bastard until he got a hold of me and we got over it.
What was that voice? I heard you trying to say something.
What? Cabbie got in an argument? No.
Well, no, and he had told me about he never did divulge any real personal stuff, so this isn't doxing, but I guess he did do a radio show for a while on the internet that was really successful, and I could see that. I never thought he was bullshitting me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think most of the stuff he told was true. It was just he was very cryptic about certain things he talked about as well. Like he sort of trying to explain to me his job one day, but he would sort of leave bits out, so you couldn't quite figure out exactly what he did. In the same way that I know he lived, I think, up in Leeds, but I can't say for definite because, again, he was always quite vague. So,
yeah.
I get the impression that he never really sat still that much. He was always sort of moving around, and then only sort of started settling down in the last few years. So, but then I like that. I like the ambiguity of the fella. Why do we need to know everything?
Yeah, we don't. And if he thought he was sick, I doubt he would have made that move he had recently made, where he did move up to the northern part of England, right? So I don't think he did know he was sick if you know what we were told is true.
Well, I think Cabbie's the type of bloke that wouldn't have gave a shit anyway. I think he was very much the sort of live for today, and if he was ill, he wouldn't have cared. It would have been, so what? As long as I make it through today, let's see what tomorrow brings, and I don't really need to tell anybody because it doesn't matter. So, you know, it's just the best attitude to have if you have something like he had. You know, at the end of the day, nobody knows how long you've got. So, you know, what time you know you have, enjoy yourself. Have a laugh. Get drunk, get stoned, and have sex with Scotsmen, whatever. You know, whatever floats your boat.
Have sex with Scotsmen.
Cabby did seem like a hell of a partier. Kind of like you, Ball.
Yeah, that's all just lies and propaganda.
Mm.
Shirati, do you want to let Atema know what's happened?
They were good.
I will get a hold of her later.
Cheers.
But you know, one thing too, he was very loyal, but also some shit just pissed him off, and he wouldn't forgive you over it. Doxing, for instance. He was pissed about that whole situation with you know, the man with many layers and some other people. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I keep having connection issues. Did you guys hear me when I tried to tell the fucking Stonehenge and cabbage story by chance?
No,
sorry,
no,
dude.
No.
yeah,
Fucking
go for it.
goddamn
Right now.
Right. So about Cabbage being a partier. One time he told me about how he went out to Stonehenge with a girl, smoked weed, and then they fucked out at Stonehenge. I don't know. He was fucking goddamn. I don't know. He was definitely a party guy. There's
I'm just
some
thinking,
part of him that is.
of all nights you're having internet connections. We also knew someone else with internet connections. Could it possibly be you're being haunted?
Oh, that fucking asshole! I swear to God, if I am the one that gets fucking descended on by fucking shitternet, I will leave. I'll quit. This is it. God,
No,
fucking
no.
cabbage.
Well,
Not
maybe you'll get your voice. Shit, whatever the fuck it's called, your voiceover.
Oh
Fucking
yeah, your
wish.
voiceover. Yeah, just play some staticky TV and do some EVP sessions. Cabby will probably fill that order for you.
I'm fucking pissed, dude, because I've had that video on reserve for so long, and like now I have to make it without him, and that makes me really sad, actually. So, I don't
But,
know. I'm sorry. That just fucking pisses me off.
well,
Guy's a
I'm wondering
fucking
if
bitch.
you're having internet issues or if your tears are hitting the exit button, and that's why you keep dropping off. No, I'm kidding.
Possibly both. Possibly both.
Well, maybe 40 as a tribute has downgraded all his software, so nothing's working anymore.
No, I did
No,
add the cabbage as a little emote now.
Yeah, I thought maybe you'd gone back to like Windows 3.1 and you're now using Firefox version 1
Oh,
and
fuck that. Windows XP all the way.
or getting everybody in a hangout because he can't get Discord to work because he's not installing the app because obviously it's a fucking CIA plant.
Yeah, I wonder if Cabby left you the shitty internet in the well.
Probably. He would do that.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
to piss you off.
Again, I don't think he necessarily believed all that. I think he did it just an excuse to be annoying to people because he didn't. I know he didn't really like Discord that much, and it would just be the excuse of, I'm not updating. The CIA are monitoring me again. So if you want to talk to me, you have to use the non-CIA approved Hangouts to talk to me.
AOL Messenger.
Yeah.
Far too high tech for him. More like
I think
parody,
if he could possibly have done it, it would have been a tin in this country, a tin in America, and about 1,000 miles of string, just so he could talk to you lot without any interruption from the or interaction from the government. I generally think that Cabby was generally a believer in gang stalking. I do.
Literally get cut.
I do. I generally think he thinks he was being. That's probably why he kept moving around so much.
You know what sucks is Cabby gave me permission to use his image for whatever, but now I feel bad. I have a cup for sale on the merch store if he's
Keep
dead.
it up.
No,
No, keep
dude.
it up.
You keep that cup the fuck there. That should never, ever fucking change.
Wait, you have a merch store? What the fuck?
He's had one.
Yes, Streamlabs merch. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to release the bog roll. I'll definitely get some of that. I'm very happy at the idea of wiping the shit off my backside with Mad Dodge's slogan.
And
I don't
for
know
obvious reasons,
if the people
make
think
sure.
if the people think I should make a rest in peace shirt for them, if we find out this is true, I will. But until then, I'm not going to do it. So
No,
No,
it shouldn't
no,
say,
no, 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 no,
it
no.
shouldn't say rest in peace. It should be rest in anger.
Yep.
Rest in rage. Yeah.
Make
maybe
sure
just
you
a-
tell everyone about this, though, okay, guys? Because, people that know him were asking after him. Make sure you tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
you know
maybe you ought to just do merch with all his famous catchphrases on, which is like Voice said, fuck off memes. If you really believe that, you are retarded. Just that some of his famous quotes, which I'm trying to remember some of them myself. I mean, you could do, the Scotsman. You could do the Stonehenge one.
Oh yeah, Cabby, fuck the Queen. Hell yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that could be your little tribute to him, and as long as it was, snappy and offensive, he'd be proud then.
If I remember correctly, he was rather fond of calling the Queen a cunt.
You can't forget to put a shirt with Cabby's face. I'm a happy-go-lucky little skimp. That was one of his favorite things to say after he usually pissed somebody off.
Yep. Agreed.
Unfortunately, I now have a message to write. Not right this second, but in Twitter. Because if you remember, a person that he knows in real life was getting a hold of me in Twitter. So now I get to break the news to her. Yay.
Yeah, not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, it's not. This sucks.
I can't say I envy you.
I think everybody just needs to take the right attitude towards it, which is that I know that if it had been anybody else and he'd been on here talking about them, he would probably be doing what I'm trying to do, which is not to be sad about his demise, but actually looking back at all the trouble and all the chaos that he created. Because that, when you think about it from that point of view, it's... And also, we have something as well, which a lot of people don't have. We have hours worth of Cabby to go back to if we want to.
Yep.
Oh God, knowing Cabby, that's not going to stop him from fucking with us anyways.
No, we should have the Cabbage Patch Bastard drinking game. Go back over all the streams that he's been involved with, and drink every time someone says, "Shut up, Cabby."
Yeah, you got to drink within the first 5 minutes.
Oh God, shit.
It's probably going to be more like, shut the fuck up, Cabby.
If there is a heaven and hell, and I have no doubt that Cabby, being the person he was, would go straight to heaven, but knowing he was the person he was, he'd probably start an argument with God and get kicked out. So,
God, he wouldn't even make it past St. Peter.
Shit, man, I'll just go back to the fucking birthday stream that you did for me back when I very first met you guys. I'm pretty sure Cabby was fucking shit talking me the entire time.
Yeah, no, and a good one, though, to look at would be that Waco one. Because I think that was Cabby not being petty or just calling people cunts. He was making good points with MC, and it was a very heated debate. That if you guys want to look back at something and think about Cabby, I think that's a good one to go back to.
Man, you got a super chat. You might want to deal with it.
All right, we got £5 from Hammered Spud. Thank you very much, sir. Cabby on the Redeye greatest hits win. The Redeye will be over in 14 episodes, and then I'm going to, I don't know, kidnap one of these guys and make them sit down with me and go through and find something. So yes, there will be a greatest hits, and it'll be in honor of Cabby at this point. I mean, there's no other way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that money you've just got, Mad Dodge, I think it's time to do something I think he would very much appreciate, which is to get yourself a hell of a lot of lager, beer, whatever you want to call it, and enjoy, in his honor, a beer enema.
That sounds more like a
And since you're
healthy thing.
winding down the Redeye, you're obviously moving to Pornhub. I think that could be your first video.
Oh no, the red eye's being phased out for I Drink and I Know Things, which is now the main show. But I didn't want to round off the red eye just at a random number. I figured 300. I was on here for, I'm going over 3 years now, but I think that's perfect. 3 years, 300 works.
I got a cabbage mug. Get them while you still can in the merch store. Only $17 plus shipping and handling.
Yeah, until you get a cease and desist from Cabby's estate.
No, he gave me explicit rights to that image, actually. That was one of the last things he did. Now that I think about it. Interesting.
Does make
Fuck
you
the queen.
wonder when he knows.
Yeah, that's why I said interested and paused. I don't like dead air, but this is a somber day now, and I didn't think it would be, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was having a good day. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, but no, that does make you think, when did he know? Because he did. He gave me full rights to his image in any way I want. And he paid for that image. I mean, it's an original by Max, so...
Yeah, I don't think he was a type of person to give a shit about money, so I don't think that was a sign of him being sick. I think he would have given you that no matter what.
Agree.
He was probably hoping that with all the STDs he'd probably got over the years, that was what was going to finish him off anyway. So he probably got to about 40 and just thought, my dick's going to start rotting and take the rest of me with it. So,
well,
we got another super chat, $2 from Jacob. Love the guy. So did we, Jacob. So did we. And thank you for the donation, sir.
And fuck the queen.
Fuck the queen.
Yeah, right up her ass.
Is this your plane?
Did that kid just say fuck your queen?
Cabby would be proud.
No, she asked if it was my plate.
And then she said, fuck the queen.
Fuck the queen and the plate you got served on.
Yeah.
Fuck the queen in the plate you kept drinking.
Yeah, fuck the queen. She's got an asshole like a dinner plate.
Oh, and I missed the super chat by B, £5. Learn the code, Cabby. Thank you, B. Appreciate it.
You got one more.
Yeah, Hammered Spud, another £5. It's Cabby we were talking about here. The last thing he probably did was revoke those rights and laugh evilly about it.
Yeah.
I think another thing he would probably have said, and I'm going to say this in his honor, which is, as tributes to him, why you give him money to Mad Dodge? How about we got a much better idea, which is that you all save your money, you all go up to Edinburgh this New Year's Eve, you find the biggest, burliest, gingerest man you can do, and make it your mission of the evening to have some kind of forcible sex with that man.
I don't live in Edinburgh, dude.
And you're not burly.
Shut up.
He's got to be wearing a kilt, though.
He will deliberately put weight on just to prove you wrong.
Oh, and Bobby, I thought I read that off already, but I'll read it off again. Jacob said, love the guy for $2. I did think I covered that, but maybe the lag and you didn't notice. But no, Cabby would tell me to get my kids some shoes with it. That's what he would tell me. That's what he told me when he actually donated to me before. And the sneaky bastard, like, he wouldn't even donate straight up. He sent the money to someone else in the United States, and then she donated to me.
See, that pretty much sums up the man. He was just a constant dicky tease, wasn't he? yeah, I'm going to give you some money, but I'm not going to send it to you. That's too easy. I'm going to send it to somebody I know in America who's going to drive all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast over a number of days. And I've given them rough directions to where you live, so they might find you, or they might end up giving the money to the wrong person.
I'm just thinking about this, right? With all the conspiracy stuff, with some of his views, with him moving around quite a lot, with what he did there with MADDS, was sending the money to someone else. Could it possibly be that our dear Cabby might actually have been in some sort of government agency? You know, because when you put all that together, did anybody see the film Conspiracy Theory of Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I'm getting that image of Cabby. You know.
What this is reason I don't think he wanted to upgrade any of his software voice, because I think he knew with every upgrade the Clintons were closing in on him. So, you know, I don't know what information he actually had. You know, maybe he had that little USB stick that Seth Rich had in his dying hand.
He had all of Hillary Clinton's emails.
God
He had all of her nudes as well. You know, so every time at 4 o'clock in the morning our time, when he finally said goodnight to you all, you know, that's how he got his 2 hours of sleep. Gently, slow flapping.
That's interesting because he said he lost a flash drive with a bunch of Bitcoin on it. Could that have been his bug out bag stuff, you know? And he could have been MI6 or MI5, right?
You're reading a lot into our conversation, Dodge.
No, if he was any government agency, he's a leftover from the SOE.
Hell, he might even have been British. He could have been KGB.
All right,
more likely.
you lot, I'm gonna head. I just, wanted to be here to say my bit. Everyone look after themselves. I'll speak to you all tomorrow.
Take her
Bye,
handy, lad.
Quinn. Bye, B.
Later, Quinn.
Later, mate.
Yeah. Hammered Spud. Cabby was English Jason Bourne. He was still running on American time zone, though. Thus, he streams till 4 a.m. I like that. I don't know about Jason Bourne, though. Do you really think he would be Matt Damon?
Him and Oz talked for hours and hours.
We see that's the thing. Like, the guy always seemed to have a bunch of energy. He would spend hours, talking on streams, and he would spend hours afterwards talking. He never came off as being in any way, sick, it's just quite strange.
Yeah, but Oz doesn't talk to anybody unless it's about something that he likes to talk about.
Well, maybe that's because Cabby isn't real and he's just AI.
That's a possibility.
And that's the reason we've all been fooled. Is they finally tracked this, the rogue software down, and they've taken him back. Yeah, because you know what they said about the AI. It's very, very sexist and racist when it's left to its own devices.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he would be KGB. That'd make him a commie. He didn't like commies much. Wasn't a big fan.
Well, if I remember correctly, back in the Soviet Union, cabbage was a staple of the diet.
Oh, so it was code. He did know how to code.
He pulled one over on us, that clever bastard.
Oh,
His name was Cabbage Patch Bastard.
well, no, and from what I did know about his early life, he was like private school and shit, like boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he kind of had a pretty wealthy upbringing, it sounded like.
Well, he did tell me that he was one of the older boys' fag for the first year of boarding school. Which, if you're not from the landed gentry, you very often were given that title. So he kind of I think he had to be quite tough from the word get go when he got into boarding school. I don't know if that meant by 16 his arsehole was like mincemeat. But we never actually got into that conversation. But it sounds like he it sounds like the traditional English boarding school, which is boys are boys, and then they suddenly become men overnight. And again, I don't quite understand that analogy.
I know his mother was dead because he actually used to make jokes about his dead mother, but yeah, he was a rare man. But I don't remember ever saying if he had any brothers or sisters.
He does have a brother in South Africa. Actually, me and him have talked at length about him because of the whole South African thing that's going on, where they're taking the white farmers and killing them.
Oh, I suspect his brother was quite older than him, and his last name was Botu or something. Yeah. He died quite a bitter and twisted man, I hear. Yeah, but
his brother's name was Amin.
Are you trying to culturally appropriate the man now? Well, he could have been. We don't know. A lot of the the ex-colonies who came over and were educated in private education over here, if you just heard their voices, you'd never know, because they were properly given elocution lessons to speak proper RP English. So it's possible.
Joshua, Cabby was gay? No, Cabby was not gay.
Well, we've never actually had any concrete evidence of that. He said he was a happy bachelor. That, to me, that could have been code.
He has a roommate named Bruce.
I thought it was Angelo.
Yeah. Funny enough, Bruce is always up till 4 in the morning.
I don't feel bad you guys are making fun of him after what voice made fun of his dead mother. So, I mean...
I told you, he, in his honor, he would be furious if we were all here now just somber and saying how much we miss him. He would be pissed off. To him, that would be the greatest insult. Mocking him, taking the piss out of him. This is exactly what he would love.
Really, man. If you're listening, Cabby, we love you. We miss you. We're all going to be very, very sad. We will just be silent and remember you quietly for the rest of the stream, because we'll know how much you'll hate that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're gonna do a tribute in the American fashion, so we're all gonna hug and burst into tears like a bunch of faggots.
Now tell the truth. Didn't your mother ever tell you not to lie, bollocks?
No, my mother's dead.
Oh, yeah, here we go. More dead mom jokes. Hammer's says, I thought that was a brother-in-law, Mad. Not 100% sure, though. Yeah, I'm not sure either, but he did say he had a brother or a brother-in-law down in South Africa. So, yeah. But, yeah, thank you. But, no, Dick Balls in the chat. What's up, man? Cabbage was a wine-drinking lush, but he was a barrel of laughs. Yeah, no, and he did like his wine. He did drink beer every now and then, but not really. He was more of a wine type of person.
I mean, certainly, I wouldn't want his lungs or his fucking kidneys if they're actually thinking of, donating them to anybody, and less so his liver. His liver now would actually be like brawn, just fucking mashed up, what's it called, flesh, essentially. But I don't think he really cared about that. He was more of the attitude of, well, I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to smoke, 600 cigarettes and 50 Cuban cigars a day. I think he even got to the point he was just injecting alcohol directly into his veins.
Yeah, well, you know what? On that note, fuck it. Here's to Cabby.
Time to handle it.
You better make sure then that somebody who knows you a little bit puts a message on some obscure video that nobody's watched for about 2 years tomorrow, so we know what happened to you.
What is up with that? That's a little weird considering Cabby was on my show all the time. Kind of a weird spot to put it on one of the man with many layers' videos.
Well, to be fair, he probably didn't, even his closest friends, he wouldn't have, invited him to his house and then said, hey, come and have a look at all these videos I'm on. They were probably just aware that he did some streaming on the internet and that maybe he told them the username he'd gone by. So maybe they just tapped that in and that was one of the first things that came up. Because, I don't tell anybody in real life what I do streaming or it's one of them weird things you just don't talk about.
Yeah, Eldritch is in Discord, and I'm with him, in most of the way. But not to be cynical, do we have a link to an actual obituary? I'm a cynic, and I'd prefer to confirm this somehow. It kind of does seem that you'll want this to be the case a little bit too much.
Yeah.
It just seems like it could be true, really, because he hasn't been around in a while, and he doesn't do that. Like, he had scheduled to do the World War I stream with me. We had talked about it for a month and a half, figured out the details. He was excited to do it, and then he disappears for a month.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Sorry, I just googled Captain Past Bastard on YouTube, and yes, that video of Ogres is like the third one up there.
There you go then. That was just his mate knowing what his username was and just the first thing he came to.
Of course, I rate Prostate as a number one, so.
Oh, the interview he did, that was recent too.
3 months ago, and then he done one with Pinoid 5 months ago. So I'm surprised he didn't put it in one of the first two and jump to the third, although it said best of cabbage, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, and Bobby B in the chat says, I'm still holding out hope that he is just trolling us or that he was kidnapped by the Illuminati. What if this is a troll, says Dick Balls. If it is a troll, then I'll be happy because he's my friend.
And
I prefer this.
No, Cabby wouldn't do it himself, but this is some sick cunt doing this. I say we hunt them down and, make the body disappear.
Have you
know
seen?
Oh, no, I can think of a worse punishment. We should put them on a debate with MC.
If this is a fucking troll, then I pledge that I will forever refer to Riley Dennis as a she.
Wow. I gotta go. My battery's gonna die.
All
See you guys.
Yep.
Ta-ta.
All right. So we still have a little bit of time to round out the show. Doku, the Fox and Disney merger. Let's actually get to that for a little bit here. That has a lot of implications. Disney takes The Simpsons, all sorts of fucking Fox shows into the portfolio for the Disney streaming service. On top of that, they also bought Hulu, as you had brought up to me in Discord. What about the Fox movie studio? They own that now. How many movies did Fox fucking produce? Quite a bit.
Damn, dude, you're gonna make me pivot this fucking quickly?
That's right. Disney fucking just bought out a quarter of the fucking movie market in one fell swoop. Add the TV shows and everything else. Mickey Mouse is laughing his way all the way to the bank just on the backlog, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, that should never have been allowed. You know, the House of Mouse, unfortunately, basically from now on, anything, once it buys CBS, that's it. Everything that's ever made will come from Disney. That's fucked.
Absolutely. And no, the reason I do want to talk about this is one, we're getting a little too fucking sappy here, so we're gonna move on. Cabby wouldn't want that. And Cabby would be pissed at this move, or is pissed if this is a giant fucking troll fucking with us, because this is the internet. So thank you, chat, for bringing up the troll aspect, because now I'm a little bit angry instead of sad, which is better. So, I mean, really, fucking Disney, all they weren't allowed to do is what? Buy the news network and the sports network, because they already own ABC and ESPN.
The only thing they were allowed to retain essentially is a Fox Searchlight, which is pretty much just the entertainment aspect of their conglomerate. But you got to realize something when it comes to these large media groups and their holdings. Like, we'll use Disney for an example. Disney is the umbrella, but underneath Disney, you still have things like Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel. So you have a lot of separate studios that are underneath the larger umbrella of the Disney brand. It's kind of a weird thing the way that things are structured. That's why they're not allowed to get their hands into the news media as far as what was owned by Fox or the sports network, because it makes them too pervasive. I honestly think Disney is too big already as it is. I don't think they should ever be allowed to buy Fox, but I'm not a patent lawyer, nor am I an antitrust lawyer, so what do I know?
Bollocks, just from the entertainment aspect here, what do you think about Disney owning all of these franchises? Didn't Fox produce the Lethal Weapon franchise and the TV show, right? So now they own the rights to Lethal Weapon.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I just know that, and I don't really understand why the the authorities in the U.S. government haven't actually done anything about Disney being able to buy up all these studios, because I thought that was considered a monopoly. How is it not over now 40% control of the actual most of the TV and the movie studios? I know that they keep doing it through subsidiaries so they can try and claim that it's different companies and they don't have full control over them all, but I'm sorry, like Doku said, it's like a big umbrella now, and it all leads back to Disney. So, and we all know that Disney produced movies these days, no matter which department it's under, all seem to be going down a particular agenda-driven sort of storytelling. So, and that's something I'm not particularly thrilled about. But it to me, the problem is more that Disney should not have been allowed to get that big in the first place.
Well, it's a weird way that things are structured. Like, so like Disney, as far as like the umbrella company brand, that's run by Bob Iger, but he doesn't have a direct hands-on approach when it comes to, say, like Marvel Studios headed by Kevin Feige, or Lucasfilm headed by Kathleen Kennedy, or whoever the hell's running Pixar. So they operate with a somewhat of a degree of freedom, but Bob Iger still has the ability to hire or fire the head of the studio, but the head of that particular studio still has some degree of freedom. So it's weird the way things are structured from a legal standpoint. I would argue that just being under the Disney umbrella, it is enough to invoke antitrust law, but there's not really a precedent put in place. I have my issues with it, but I can see how there's enough loopholes built in that I'm trying to think. Somebody did a video the other day. I think it's Otter Media that's owned by Warner Brothers, but that controls Verve and Rooster Teeth and Crunchyroll. Like they're all separate streaming services, but they're under the same media umbrella, which is then under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. So they're separate but not. So it's technically not a trust or a monopoly. It's weird. I'm not a legal expert, so I'm not 100% sure on how they actually get away with this shit. I think it should be very simple. These companies control a vast swath of media, and they all fall under that same umbrella. Same narrative, same people, appointed individuals who are left to hire whoever the fuck they want. They can still shove out competition because they have a large amount of money. They have intellectual properties that are established. It's a monopoly without being a monopoly. The only thing I know is I don't like it. It's an easy way to gatekeep and control the narrative. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
The only reason why I'm not really too thrilled on the whole thing is because it seems that lately everything that Disney has touched, they've completely fucking ruined. So, although, The Simpsons hasn't been all that great since their movie basically came out. But, it's not like Disney can fuck that up any worse than what it is. But, having said that, I bet you $10 some cunt in Disney's just going, hold my beer.
Well, and see, that's the thing, is they don't have to have a hands-on approach. They can just choose who heads up what studio. As long as they can do that, they're essentially controlling by proxy. Like Lucasfilm and Marvel and Pixar are essentially serfs to Disney's king. So
Okay. Well, real quick, I stepped away for a second, but this is what I was thinking about. What competition do they have? They have Netflix, which is creating original content. So is Amazon. But then old school competition. What? Paramount and CBS. Lionsgate. Who else? Sony. Not very many movie studios are really left, right?
I can see Sony being gobbled up by Disney in the not too distant future, because one, they own several rights to Marvel characters that they want fully under the MCU, and also Sony's been basically in the shit for years now, which is they've been desperately trying to get a franchise of their own going and failing miserably. So it'll be just as long as the Sony Corporation gets fed up of it hemorrhaging money and then wanting to unload it. So that I can see that one going. As for the others, I think what you're basically seeing is bit by bit, they're all sort of conglomerating into just maybe like 4 or 5 massive studios with very little in between competition, which is not very good for your sort of potential future programming making, because a lot of good stuff comes from independence. And if it's all just being, even if it's like Doku said, being controlled by a proxy, there's always going to be some kind of direction that the studios have to follow in terms of pumping out movies, TV shows, whatever, without anybody willing to take any risks and do something different. So you're just going to see the same generic stuff pumped out over and over again, and everybody's going to keep moaning and complaining. And why is the fucking stuff we're getting now shit? Why is it so badly written? Why is it so poorly acted? Why are they shoving in identity politics just so they can deflect criticism away?
Well, and that's the thing. There's 3 aspects to this that really need to be addressed, and they don't get talked about. And I'm only going to use Disney as an example of this. But the first aspect is, of course, I'll use Disney's streaming service as example number 1. They want to start their own streaming service. So rather than building the software in-house and building the servers that are required to run and maintain. Me and MADDS were having a problem with Rabbit just earlier because there's so much traffic going into it. I mean, you need a fairly large server farm just to keep that, running as at an acceptable user-friendly way. So they don't build any of it in-house. They don't do any of that. No, what do? They turn around and they buy Hulu. So not only do you get the streaming technology, but you also get access to the server farms that host these sites. So you killed two birds with one stone there. So there's that aspect of things. The second and most important aspect is you're not only just buying up the rights to, say, Lucasfilm or Marvel Studios, you're getting the intellectual property rights to that. And so even if Disney is not producing what the fuck ever that falls under that umbrella, they can outsource that to, say, IDW or EA or who the fuck ever they want, and you can outsource the likeness of characters that they own the intellectual property for. They still get their cut, and that doesn't mean they technically hold a monopoly because Disney doesn't own EA, but EA has the rights to use the likeness of Star Wars in their video games. That's another roundabout loophole that they can use.
Okay,
And
not to be a conspiracy theorist here, but there do seem to be an awful lot of people who wear yarmulkes at Disney.
Wait, what?
Well, I thought they were mouse ears.
Oh, you said
Yarmulke with
yarmulke.
ears.
Yeah, okay.
Yarmulke with ears.
No, I just couldn't hear voice for a second there. But yeah, that's just media in general, though.
What, media in general doesn't wear yarmulkes?
Different topic for a different day.
Yeah. Whenever we get Patrick Little back on, no.
But yeah, that's another loophole that Disney uses is they will outsource intellectual properties to other studios like EA or IDW, so that they can use the likeness of certain intellectual properties, and it doesn't give them essentially a monopoly over the entertainment industry because we're just making the movies. We're not actually producing the cartoons. We're not producing the video games. It's not made in-house. We outsource that shit. So that's a loophole for them. But
well, and what rights do you get with Fox? Quite a bit, right? Now all the Simpsons episodes can be on the Disney streaming service. That is how many years? 30 plus?
Quite a bit.
All right there for the mouse to make money off of. You have Futurama, right?
Even if it's just from royalties, they can outsource shit and just let people run with it. As long as they make royalties, do you think the House Mouse really cares?
Fox, X-Files franchise.
Yeah, again, it's a loophole. As long as they're not producing it in-house, no pun intended, the House of Mouse does not necessarily care as long as they get their royalties, which is why they split up all of these acquisitions into their own little self-contained media conglomerates. Yeah, it's not Disney directly steering the ship, so to speak. They're more like a fleet of media conglomerates. They have a bunch of different ships, and they assign a captain to each one, and they just let it go in whatever direction they want. As long as it makes the shareholders money, they don't give a shit. And they can bypass antitrust laws rather easily. They can make an easy argument in court.
Can CBS and or Paramount, which are going to merge back together, by the way, that's going to happen. Can they compete? What do they have? Trek? What else? Really? I mean, Disney has Star Wars and a fucking backlog for 100+ years of shit. I don't think CBS really stand up to them.
And that's the thing, because it's not going to be, when it comes to a legal standpoint, it's not going to be CBS going up against Disney. it's going to be CBS going up against either Marvel Studios or Lucasfilm or Pixar. It's not going to be them going up against the Mouse House fleet in its entirety. It's going to be more focused, which is why they can claim, "Oh no, we're not a monopoly. You know, you're only competing with this one group that has ties to our larger overarching media conglomerate." And that's where the loopholes start to come in. You know, like Star Trek is only competing with Star Wars. It's not competing with Marvel. It's not competing with Pixar. It's not competing with Lion King. And that's the argument they will make in court. And they have armies of lawyers that will either bog this shit down and it'll get settled out of court. The system is kind of fucked, to be honest.
So the only real way to compete is to gobble up companies yourself, so you have your own backlog. Well, at that point, you end up with two gigantic companies staring straight at each other, and it's once again a monopoly situation.
Well, and then you end up with a duopoly, and at that point in time, they just compete with each other. I mean, that's exactly what Disney did with Sony and the Spider-Man franchise when it came like, okay, we'll give you Spider-Man, but we're going to make the Venom movie. So again, you end up with a duopoly, and it's not necessarily due to what studios you own, but the linchpin is the intellectual property rights, and that's really what they want. I mean, I guarantee you, Disney would outsource Deadpool if they knew it would make them money. They don't give two shits. As long as they own intellectual property, doesn't matter. That's all they care about.
Well, they're going to have to outsource Deadpool, because could you imagine a Disney fucking Deadpool? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the Alien and the Predator franchises are going to be very interesting now they're under Disney as well.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be well. It's going to be nice having the next Alien film about aliens discovering the joys of being non-binary.
Well, and again, that's exactly what Disney is trying to do. They don't necessarily want the assets; they want the intellectual property. Specifically, they want the rights to those intellectual properties so they can outsource them.
Yeah,
it makes them money, and it also means they don't have to worry about hiring people in a new studio to write scripts and hire a competent director, as if they've actually done that, but neither here nor there. You know, they'll outsource it and let somebody else take the majority of the brunt of the work, and they'll just cash in on the royalties because it's still their intellectual property. And it also gives them a bit of a shelter from the Federal Trade Commission and the Federal Communications Commission as well. So if somebody does manage to fuck up, Disney can say, hey, look, it wasn't us that produced it, it was them. They're the ones you want to sue, not us. It's actually quite brilliant if you think about it from a financial perspective, but it doesn't change the fact that they are essentially the evil empire of entertainment at this point in time.
Yeah, but you also have the rise of digital media. You have Netflix, you have Amazon, you have Amazon pouring money into this Lord of the Rings thing, and then also now buying into the Picard series. So CBS couldn't get Netflix to pick it up, but they were able to get Amazon to do so. So they are pouring money into making TV and straight to TV movies, pretty much, right? Is that going to win against an old school giant like Disney?
No, not at all. And Disney took away any of the ability for Netflix to produce anything with the Marvel name on it that isn't Venom or, well, they can't even do the X-Men now. I don't see, what can they do? Yeah, I know Netflix would have to make a deal with Disney if they wanted to continue anything. Disney pretty much owns the entirety of the MCU at this point in time. Yeah, again, they own the IP.
You don't need the MCU, though. Why do we need the MCU? I'm sick of this comic book bullshit. I mean, don't even get me started on the Batgirl thing. But here's the thing.
Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Ghost Rider, Elektra, any of those properties, if Netflix wants to use anything that's related to Marvel, they're going to have to make a deal with Disney. The cards are in Disney's hands. So, and Disney would be more than happy to outsource it, I guarantee you, because the work is going to fall back on Netflix, and it's going to be up to them to produce something. And if Disney doesn't like it, they can just pull the plug. Disney doesn't have to do shit. And that's exactly why Disney has positioned themselves the way that they have. I guarantee if Netflix came to them, say, hey, look, we want to do a Predator, we want to do an Alien series, we want to continue with the Defenders, we want to do a Ghost Rider and a Punisher series, we want to do all this shit, they're going to have to make a deal with Disney. Disney's going to get their royalties, and that's that. Disney holds the cards. That's the reason they're doing what they're doing. It's not about...
There's other properties, though. I mean, go back into the backlog, find some old shit, you know, fucking do a vampire series with your own spin on it. You can make your own creative properties. Why do we have to revisit the same universe over and over again? I am sick and tired of the MCU. I couldn't give two shits anymore at all.
Mad Dodge, did you forget how creative Dan and Dave actually are? Creativity in Hollywood does not exist. Hollywood, at the end of the day, is still a business. Hollywood does not like to invest money in something that they are not confident 100% that is going to make them a profit. So they're not going to risk anything on some new upstart like, hey, I've got this great new idea. Like, unless you write a book and it becomes massively popular and ends up on the New York Times top 50 bestsellers list, no one's going to give you the time of fucking day. That's why Disney cares about having the intellectual property.
Well, here's the thing, though. Amazon now has the rights to run The Expanse. The Expanse is the next big sci-fi universe. Mark my words.
The thing is, you still have to have writers that are creative and competent. And that's very, very rare in the current state of Hollywood and entertainment in general. So, again, large media conglomerates, especially ones that are publicly traded, they're not invested in taking risks. They're invested in money. That they want to know something is going to make a profit. They want a recognizable brand. They want a recognizable character. That's why they buy up these studios. And then they essentially partition them out into smaller studios under an umbrella. It's not about the production. It's not about who heads up the studio. It's about the intellectual property. And trust me, Disney will be more than happy to outsource that intellectual property, whether it's a video game, a comic book, a TV show. They're still going to get their money. They're going to get the royalties. And it helps them mitigate risk because they don't have to produce it. It's very cost effective from a business standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts, Voice or Farty? One of you guys?
Yeah.
Was that the entire thing? Yeah.
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 Yeah, I can tell you this. Disney owns too much, but they're smart by not having a vice grip and taking everything under the House of Mouse umbrella. Just outsource that shit. As long as you get your royalties, who the fuck cares? And it also exempts you from antitrust laws because it's not directly Disney.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, what you're saying, Duku, it's good to be smart and greedy.
They've found a sweet spot. I can say that much. I admire them for that.
It's good to be king.
Hey, all Disney has to worry about now is doing their princess movies and their live action remakes. Everything else can be outsourced, and it's not directly tied to the yarmulke ear umbrella. MC, why does it matter how big Disney is? What makes a difference is avoiding SJW crap. Well, MC, you have to realize all of the people who get appointed to these studios like Lucasfilm or Marvel Studios, they're appointed by the higher ups at Disney, and then they just let them do what they want. So as long as the gatekeeping and the ideology within the company stays consistent, the SJW crap is going to be unavoidable. The only thing you can really do to fight against it is simply not buy it.
Yeah, like that's not going to fucking happen with Star Wars fans.
No, again, that's why they want.
On the
Real quick.
behalf, on the behalf of all the Game of Thrones fans out there, enjoy, Star Wars fans. Enjoy.
Oh God, Dan and Dave is coming for you next.
To the silly Game of Thrones fans that haven't been around for the last couple of years, we already know. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, welcome to the Hurt Locker.
No, you have to remember that when D&D do the Star Wars movies, the Star Wars fans will fucking love the first, love the second, and then kill everybody for the third.
Well, again, that's my point. The gatekeeping and the ideology is pervasive. It doesn't matter if it's directly being steered by the Disney ship. Whoever they appoint to steer that particular ship within the fleet of Disney franchises, it's all going to be the same. The only thing you can really do to fight back against it is simply just not give them money. Because money talks.
And bullshit walks.
Pretty much.
Well, no, and I don't know. I don't foresee very much coming from Hollywood anytime soon, but I do see a little bit of promise in the digital realm, especially when you have a lot more people going to film school, and where are they going to put their stuff on? YouTube. And, you know, they might end up making money out of it. It may be doing something in the future, but I see Hollywood crumbling. I see the old school Hollywood studios going the way of the dodo. I think it's over. I don't think we will have theaters other than small niche theaters to where you'll see old movies on there, you know. Go see a fucking you know, a 2-show night or whatever. I forget what they call it, but whatever.
Well, and Mad Dodge, here's the thing. If you're an up and coming in the film or creative industry, this is why I bring up gatekeeping. If you really want a career in it, something that's actually going to pay your bills and give you a viable, long-lasting career, you're going to have to kiss ass at some point in time, and it's going to be with one of these large conglomerates. So, and this is why the SJW crap is so pervasive, because if you don't play cards, if you don't play nice, if you don't share the same ideology of these individuals, you're never going to get a job. You're going to get blacklisted. No one will hire you. That's why you see things going to crap, and why it's just the same regurgitated bullshit over and over and over again. Because if you don't play ball, you don't get a job, you don't eat. That's why it's become as bad as it is.
Well, actually, in some cases, if you do play with balls, you will get the job.
Well, not exactly the point. I was using a metaphor, but you're technically, ironically enough, you're not wrong, though. I mean, hell, that's even pervasive now in like the larger YouTube creator community. I hate to bring up what's his face, James Charles or whatever the fuck his name is. And it's not exclusive to him, but you can go out there and find the clip easy enough as it is. And it's like, oh, well, you've got talent. You're big up and coming. This is Susan Wojcinski. It's like, oh, we need to get your numbers up. Like, they play favoritism. As long as you're willing to suck the proverbial cock, then you'll get preferential treatment. And they'll go out of their way to help you and build you up. But if you go against the grain, well, guess what? You're screwed.
Well, just with that fucking James Charles or Charles Lee Ray or whatever the fuck the stupid gay cunt's name is, I've seen a video of one of the people who's supposed to be coming out about it, and you know, the video that I've seen, the guy's trying to make it, oh, he's not gay, but like, you know, this fucking James Charles cunt was this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, son, you sounded like you kind of were into it a hell of a lot more than what you're trying to lay out.
And then there's a video that you can find where he's talking to Susan Wojcinski, and she flat out says like, "Oh yeah, you're talented. We need to get your numbers up." Like they will go out of their way to give you preferential treatment. It's the same thing in Hollywood. As long as you're willing to rub shoulders and play by their rules, they will either make you or break you. And it's always been that way. It's been that way for fucking decades. It's just now it's coming to the forefront. Like good luck being a film student and actually trying to come up with a pseudo original idea and actually find any sort of success. It's an uphill battle to say the least. Hence the problem with again, I bring up the term gatekeeping, but that's really what it is. If they don't like you, they'll blacklist you out of the industry completely. So you're fucked.
Well, yeah. On that note, we're about at the 2-hour mark, and after that shocking news, I don't really want to go on beyond this. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here? No. All right. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with the World War I stream, and then right after Game of Thrones, we will prepare to definitely not riot. We will not riot. Definitely will not riot. By the way, the chair is up against the wall. The chair.
Bullshit, we won't riot, Mad Dodge. And MC, no, I'm not looking for the casting couch. Fuck you.
I will be in Discord, and we probably will be chatting about Cabby. So Discord link is in the description if you would like to join the Discord and come in. There's usually people in voice chat at all times. We got people from Britain in there early in the morning, and then us Americans late at night. So come on into the Discord and hang out. Also, if you want your Cabby mug, the Streamlabs, blah, Streamlabs.
Get that shilling.
Fuck you, boys. Fuck you. Yeah, there's also the BitChute down there too, and you're supposed to shill. You have to. Whatever. I don't want to end up in the YouTube casting couch. I don't want that. So please, just click the links. Save me. I'm blinking twice. Good night, everybody.